Look closely at this creature. It lives deep underground beneath the dirt of East Africa, crawling through pitch-black tunnels it digs with its own teeth. By all standard biological logic, it should be incredibly fragile, yet it casually shrugs off the three things that kill almost every other mammal on Earth. It is immune to cancer, it survives total suffocation, and it does not biologically age. You might assume it relies on some hyper-advanced biology, but it operates on the exact same genes, cells, and chemistry that you and I do. The reason it survives so well is entirely tied to where it lives. When hundreds of warm bodies are packed into a sealed burrow, oxygen drops. To endure this pressure cooker, they evolved a highly social, insect-like hierarchy, complete with a single breeding queen and sterile workers. Evolution took the standard mammalian blueprint and rearranged it into a configuration optimized for endurance. To see how that blueprint was rewritten, we have to zoom way down past the skin, looking specifically at the microscopic spaces sitting between their individual cells. This diagram illustrates a molecule called hyaluronan. All mammals have it. It acts as a cellular cushion. But the naked mole rat has a specific gene variation that inflates this protective layer to 5 times its normal size. Normally, enzymes would chop that massive molecule up, but in these rodents, those enzymes are sluggish. The molecule never gets broken down, so it simply piles up, filling the empty space between cells with a dense protective syrup. That thick syrup acts as an early warning alarm system. The moment these cells start crowding together, the pressure from the syrup triggers an internal biological break, known as P16. As soon as that break is pulled, the cells are forced to permanently stop dividing at the very first sign of clustering. This resized structural barrier prevents the foundational step of cancer, uncontrolled cell division, long before a tumor could ever form. Down in those crowded burrows, hundreds of breathing bodies rapidly drain whatever fresh air is left. Oxygen drops close to zero, and carbon dioxide spikes. By standard rules, a mammalian brain requires oxygen to burn glucose for energy. Cut off that air supply, and the brain suffers permanent damage within minutes. To survive total suffocation, the naked mole rat floods its bloodstream with large amounts of fructose. This is a sugar typically found in plants, and unlike glucose, it can be broken down for energy without needing any oxygen. There is a major biological hurdle here, though. To absorb fructose, cells need specific doorways called GLUT5 transporters. In almost every mammal, including humans, those doorways exist strictly in the intestines. This schematic shows how they bypassed that problem. The mole rat survived by relocating these exact doorways straight into its brain cells, while simultaneously dropping its heart rate to a crawl to conserve energy. It endures lethal suffocation by completely rewiring its mammalian brain to process fuel exactly the way a plant does. Biologists have long relied on Gompertz law, the rule that for nearly every animal on Earth, the risk of death inevitably rises as it ages. This line graph illustrates what happens when an animal breaks that rule. The steeply rising curve shows standard mammalian mortality over time, but the perfectly flat horizontal line represents the naked mole rat. Their baseline risk of dying remains exactly the same, whether they are 2 years old or 20. And you can see right here, the colony's breeding queens, the individuals bearing the heaviest physical toll of constantly reproducing, actually sit at an even lower baseline risk of mortality. This extreme tolerance extends to their nervous system. That heavy buildup of carbon dioxide underground turns the moisture in the air highly acidic. To endure that, the species completely unplugged the specific pain receptors in their skin that register acid burns. By removing the biological mechanisms for pain and physical decay, they traded a fast, energy-heavy mammalian life cycle for an ultra-durable, endlessly patient existence perfectly suited to the dark. When you look out over the dry savanna above them, it becomes clear that these adaptations are the direct result of extreme environmental pressure. The slow decay of aging, brain death without oxygen, and cellular betrayal by cancer represent evolutionary trade-offs rather than fixed laws of life. Because this animal built these survival tools using the exact same chemical ingredients found in our own bodies, its genetic blueprint is readable. We can study it and map the mechanisms at play. By pinpointing exactly how the naked mole rat rearranges its metabolism and cell structure, researchers may develop precise treatments for human strokes, heart attacks, and cancer. The most ordinary, overlooked creatures often demonstrate that biological limits are highly flexible, built on extraordinary structural engineering.